In a recent Forbes article, you said that most modern philanthropy, especially in the advisory sector, is focused on vehicles and tax efficiency. And you make the point that when planning becomes primarily about control and optimization, purpose risks being lost to process. Can you tell me for a few minutes, speak to that about purpose being lost to process?
Absolutely. I think this goes back to the very reason that I define myself as a governance attorney who happens to have a cross-border tax background, which is that the traditional way that advisors are involved, be they attorneys, financial advisors, wealth advisors, accountants, is often in a particular aspect of wealth management or creating legacy. And often we hear of questionnaires, and the questionnaires go into sort of making a lot of assumptions about the client. What do you want to do with your wealth? Do you have charitable intent? Do you have philanthropy? And then all of the education is focused on for tax efficiency, we can create charitable remainder trusts, we can have various types of vehicles, we can do private foundations. At the end of the day, the truth is the correct question for the client is to find out who they are and what they already do that might actually be philanthropy. So one of the things that I focused on in McKinsey was Mackenzie Scott in the Forbes article, because her giving away billions of dollars with carefully vetted charities that she vetted through a very privately, founded group. Spoke to most of the community as being a shock to the system because there was no complex planning, there was no charitable structures, there wasn't planned giving as such, at least from the external perspective. And I would say that really actually goes to what philanthropy has been and what charity has been at the crux of our Western and Eastern cultures altogether. As somebody from originally from the other side of the world, in the Eastern culture, Hinduism has a concept of artha. You effectively have living life with purpose, and giving is not an act of giving away. If you look at philanthropy as filling the bucket of what fulfills your life, that becomes more of a legacy planning and purpose and what you want. What is the message you want to give your family, your community, the world at large, rather than how many dollars and cents it's going to save today, because that will naturally weave into that purpose. Same thing is there in Western philosophy as well, the concept of giving, but the culture and the very essence of what it means to each individual is not necessarily framed around the technical part is not put into the framework of what it means to the person, rather what it means to the person is framed around the technical part, if that makes sense. And that's sort of what I was getting at with the conversation is always on tax efficiency and complex giving structures. The question is, why do they want to give and do they even want to give at all? Or is it that they live a life with purpose that could actually be philanthropically more carefully designed to have greater impact? And it just so happens because of where they are situated, what their assets are, how they're distributed, there are technical devices that are effective.